You're watching CRE Radio and TV. I'm your host, Howard Klein. And today, we get to hear a great story from Ian Marlow, the CEO of Fitech. In this story and video, Ian tells us about a very creative and industrious student who changed the way landlords deal with their internet infrastructure in student housing. It's not something that I would have thought of. But first, let's hear from our sponsors. AMP Technologies, the Uber manager for your commercial real estate. It will simplify your asset management. So we are here at Realcomm 2016 in San Jose, and I met you through the wonderful people over at AMP Technologies.
Yes, a very good partner of ours.
Yes, and we kind of hit it off because you think that you're very funny. And
I work hard at it.
Yes, you do, and you do a good job. But you are. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about what Fitech does? Like your elevator pitch, so we can get that in, so people will appreciate your expertise and then understand all the stories that we're going to tell.
Okay, sure. Fitech is essentially the IT department for any real estate company. So we provide the only end-to-end platform for the services that take you from your accounting system to maintenance of your entire networking platform to designing in-building systems. So we're able to take any real estate company and help them end-to-end.
So let's talk about your student housing, student housing story, and no names, of course.
Of course. We had the experience when we got actually into with one of our clients who acquired a large student housing portfolio, and along with that comes our management of the IT and infrastructure out at the properties as well. And like very similar other types of residential real estate, there's in-building amenities like Wi-Fi services, but student housing, that need is significantly amplified because the students are literally going 24/7. And we actually found in managing one of those specific locations that the Wi-Fi went down to 0, and it was actually being, in essence, stolen. And we had to figure out where it was, and it turned out that it was a student who was utilizing the in-building Wi-Fi to service his online business that was running servers out of his local dorm room. The truth is that we realized that wasn't actually initially a breach of the lease. So everything had to be looked at, and we had to say, wait a minute, why are they running things that way? They should not be doing that. Then again, at the moment, they're not breaking any rules, so now we have to change the design of the infrastructure. And that's something that actually changed everything from the legal relationship of it, from a leasing structure, what they're allowed to do, what amenities they're allowed to purchase directly versus not purchase directly, and what they can run out of the dorm room. So basically, you really learn that the evolving times that we've seen literally change what those needs are. And as the entrepreneurial student gets even younger and younger, they need that connectivity to essentially create that business. So in the instance of 5 years ago, you would have not been able to buy your own bandwidth. Now you're actually seeing students that individually can buy their own bandwidth.
Well, that's one of the ways that you resolved it. Now, he wasn't quite as bad as it might have seemed, although you kind of find it debatable. He was being an entrepreneurial student, kind of taking advantage of a loophole, which is, I'd like to hire the guy, right? But he did ask about it at first, didn't he?
He did ask whether or not there was bandwidth available that they could purchase directly, and at the time the answer was no. I highly doubt that he looked at his lease and said, am I allowed to do this? But the reality is he took advantage of that. So I do think it's the type of person going out we probably all want to hire, but from a real estate perspective, it did not make the owner happy. It made a lot of other students unhappy at the time.
Well, but what it did was you changed not only the lease, but you changed what the students can do. Didn't you put some limitations on what they could use generally, what was generally available, and then you also allowed the students to go and buy their own bandwidth.
Correct. I mean, basically, the new Wi-Fi design throttled or limited the bandwidth per device, the number of devices that each student could register. So, those things they change, and the capabilities are there now for that. If we went back a number of years ago, only really the hotel industry was doing that, and it was a much slower internet. So, in that case, they wouldn't even be able to stream a movie. These kids stream movies every day, all the time, and while they're streaming the movie, they're working on 3 other assignments that's using more bandwidth. So you can't limit them to 1 meg. You need to calculate that out, and now the infrastructure is available to do that.
Oh, it's a great solution for a evolving problem. AMP Technologies, the Uber manager for your commercial real estate. It will simplify your asset management.